The present administration, I'm talking to the guest now, the present administration came to power with just one agenda, and that agenda was to remove Jonathan. They said they had what it took to remove Jonathan. They didn't even say much about what they were going to do, except the many things that they have all now failed. But we know that, at least we now know, that the marriage between all these blocs, CPC, ACN, and so many other parties that make up the APC, just came together with one goal: to remove Jonathan from government. It didn't matter whether he did well or he didn't do well. And now at least the Nigerian populace knows that Jonathan did a lot of things. Now, Governor Nyesom Wike is coming with that same agenda. He has the capacity to remove the APC. More united, make Nigeria grow better, and a good and working manifesto that the people can key into, except the highest and the loudest statements he's making are the ability to remove APC. Why should we trust a man who is coming with the same agenda of the person that he's trying to remove?
Well, he says he's coming to take power from APC and give it to PDP. And we know that every party like PDP, they have their policies, they have their programs. So once he works within the policy and programs of the PDP that did wonderfully well for Nigeria for 16 years, I believe if he works with the programs and policies of the PDP, he will also do very well. Everybody knows the antecedent of PDP in 16 years. Everybody knows what he has done in Rivers State for the past 7 years, going to 8 years. Even if they say he does a commissioning. My brother, if you light candle or do you keep it under the bed? You must keep it on top or on a platform for people to see. So he's been showcasing what he has been doing, and because he has properly positioned Rivers State within the world map for everybody to see what's going on in Rivers State. So we believe he can also do same for Nigeria as a pan-Nigerian.
There's some problems I see from those statements. First of all, Nigeria is not a PDP nation. Nigeria belongs to the people, and this wrestling of power out of one party to another seems like from one cabal to the other, which doesn't seem to have any thing about the populace in that picture. And secondly, when you go to a place, it's not necessarily what you think they need that they might need. So whatever he is doing in Rivers State may not be what will translate to something good in every other part of the country.
Nigeria, he knows the needs of every part of Nigeria. Don't forget that he was a minister of education, really well in the Ministry of Education. There was this board of technical education. There's this PTF. He also did very well that some tertiary institutions had. There's no tertiary institution in Nigeria that doesn't have a signature project during his tenure as a Minister of Education. So that same person who has done very well as a Minister of Education for 4 years, doing very well as a state governor.
You could be close to Wike and he's part of your party. Do you think at this point in Nigeria's history, it is a radical that we need or a father figure that we need? Good enough, but if you were to choose, who would you choose?
Well, going by the trends across the nations of the earth, it has been proven that power belongs to the next generation, and we shouldn't run a gerontocratic system of government where power resides residually in the hands of old people. If you see what's happening in Canada, France, Ukraine, and other parts of the world, there's this revolution where young and younger people taking over government. When you talk about government, apart from capacity, you need competence. You need somebody that can stand. Government or governance takes a lot of rigor. Not somebody that is moving from one part of the world for another for one medical reason. We don't need that kind of person. We don't need. In fact, we're not running a government of the aged people. We should run a government of people who knows and who feels the pulse of the people. And you don't run a government of people who are generations apart.
Are you advocating for competence or you're advocating for age?
Capacity, competence, character, then vigor. because governance is very demanding. You don't need somebody who is who has health challenges. You don't need an old person who cannot wake at the right time. You don't need an old person that in fact Nigerians know who they want.
Well, because it's debatable because of the fact that one of the presidents adjudged as the best or one of the best in this country was quite sickly, if anything is to go by, even though he may not have been going out every day for medical checkup like some of them have been going, but he was quite sickly. And till date, even though he has passed, we still say he's one of the best, if not the best, presidents we've had in this country. So being a good president, does it mean that you'll always have to be on your toes and be running around and all that? I'm just trying to, see whether it's really a strong point that if someone has a condition that does not affect his brain, he cannot be a good leader.
God bless.
Just saying.
God bless the soul of late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. Wherever he is, God will be smiling at him because he did a lot within the shortest possible time. And I believe President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan also stood on that gain to see why Nigeria got to where it is. First and foremost, it was quite unfortunate that he had health challenges, but his brain wasn't docile. Age was on his side. The only challenge was a health challenge, and we don't use health status. At times, the helm of affairs of this country, he did very well. Everybody saw the electoral reform. So we also saw the problem in the Niger Delta. When you talk about the Niger Delta amnesty today, that calmed the Niger Delta was a product of that administration. He swallowed pride. He came on board, and the problem of this in Niger Delta became a thing of the past. So we strongly believe that his case was one peculiar case. His case was one unique case because one, he was educated. Age was on his side despite his health status. And then when you talk about capacity, competence, he did very well for Katsina State as a governor, and he also translated same to Nigeria within that short time. God bless his soul wherever he is.
Okay, Niabari, I'll come back to you in Lagos, and maybe you'll move to Abuja.
Yes, so Shola, you take this one now. Over to you.
Okechukwu has proven that indeed Governor Nyesom Wike is a capacity governor and ready to deploy that capacity to sack APC from the government. Okechukwu, are you not seeing it as being a power tussle approach rather than changing the narrative?
It's not a case of power tussle. It's a case of competence. It's a case of character of strength. And in life, you must demonstrate character of strength. It's quite, in fact, it's an uncommon virtue. It's very, very people that possess that character of strength. Some say it's mental strength. So for me, he has demonstrated that character of strength. He has demonstrated that capacity, competence to wrestle power from the hands of APC and hand it over to PDP. In life, we have products, or we have products generally, but there must be a brand, and it takes a brand to enter into the market to get the desired customer. And Nyesom Wike is that brand that will get into the market and get the customers who are Nigerian voters.
As it stands today, charity begins at home. Considering the region Nyesom Wike is coming from, His Excellency should not be looking within the South-South alone, because the closeness of South-South to South-East is very, 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 very small and good. What is his relationship with his people within that region?
He has a wonderful relationship with virtually all the state governors in the Southeast. I can tell you for free, I can tell you authoritatively, Governor Okeze Ikpeazu has been here severally to commission projects. Of recent, he went to Enugu State, and he has a robust relationship with them. When Ihedioha, as the PDP governor of Imo State, was there, he also had an excellent relationship with Ihedioha. But you don't expect him to fraternize with the governor of Imo State, who is an APC governor, before he will be asked for, or he will be charged for anti-party affairs. Then also, before David Umahi chose his path and went the other way, they were also in a good relationship. So if you look at it technically, he has a very wonderful relationship with virtually all the eastern states. So he is ready. Like I said, he's not just a Rivers man, he's a pan-Nigerian, cutting across all the geopolitical zones.
Something led to something before the breakdown of friendship between him and Governor Umahi and that of Ben Ayade. And you are still saying he has a good relationship with everybody around that region.
You know, a speaker of truth has very few friends, just like what happened between him and Godwin Obaseki of Edo State. If you make your stance known to people, definitely the truth is bitter, and any person who has a dubious character does not like a man who says the truth.
You know very well, Mr. The governor of Rivers State cannot be totally good as you are portraying him. If you don't want to hide the truth from him, use this platform to tell him moving forward, if he really wants to become the Nigerian president, what do you expect him to change in his attitude?
Well, some people say that, some people say he is very arrogant, but he's not. He's just being blunt. And when somebody is blunt, sometimes you offend people who doesn't want to hear the truth. So for him, as a person, he is doing very well. He will tell you as it is. But one good thing about him is that he doesn't fight for too long. He says
you have not said you have seen anything wrong about him. You have not said anything. Okay, Chukwu, please.
That is it.
So give us something wrong.
Yeah?
You have not seen anything wrong in him.
No, people say he's
arrogant. You are criticizing those that say he's arrogant. Do you believe he's arrogant or not? If he's not, look at other areas you know. You as a person, that you know, if you wish him to become the president, you will expect him to change this approach or attitude.
Okay.
Because attitude is everything.
Let me tell you something. I have not said it anywhere in any platform, but I'm saying it here for the first time, that I grew up in his community. I have lived 43 years of my life in Rumeme, where he comes from. So I have followed him as a child growing up. I have known him as a child. He's been our leader from when he was a local government chairman to chief of staff to a minister. Today he's a serving governor. So if you look at it, he has that trait. We have followed him very well. Some people say he's arrogant, but for me, I see him as somebody who is very blunt. He tells you as it is. Even to his followers, he tells them the way it is. So for me, if they say he's arrogant, but for me, I say he is blunt. The only thing he needs to do is to be a bit diplomatic so that he can get along with it. But if it is his nature to be blunt, they say you don't learn left hand at old age. So you cannot change some tactics because of old age.
Okay, Chukwu, really, you are not the right man for this question. Thank you.
All right, I see where Shola is going with that. Of course, Shola has said it. He's not the right man for the question. I'm waiting to hear some things, but maybe someone else can come and bring those angles to it. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, of course, on to the next conversation on Atlantic Blowout, the NDDC board. Now, I bet you've been wondering what's been going on with that board. All right, so when we come back, the continues.
on the facts, breaking news, and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage. Facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis,
Welcome back. It's still the Atlantic Blowout right here on Atlantic Television Network, and we've been having a good run so far. Now, on to this next story. The NDDC, rather the federal government, has been urged to obey court order and inaugurate the NDDC board. It looks like a group of stakeholders, people who have different parts to play, the Niger Delta People's Forum, and of course this other group is called the Vanguard for Transparency and Leadership and Democracy. They've all come together to urge the president to comply with the law setting up the NDDC and fulfill his own promise. That's the promise he made on the 24th day of June 2021, and inaugurate that substantive board to manage the commission for the benefit of the people of the Niger Delta and the likes. So the move is said to be the most salient issue that the authentic stakeholders of the Niger Delta have consistently demanded for. And even though the president had promised and he had made commitments to this, it's still seen that they are asking that illegal interim management, so administratorship of the NDDC and the likes should be stopped, and a board should be inaugurated for the commission, you know. So this is what is being expected following the forensic audit that was received. So in compliance of the law, it is said, or it is saying rather, that the president is supposed to follow through and ensure that this board is put together. So it seems like a lot of pressure, but I also know that this story has been in the news before, and it looks like nothing is happening to effect. So the question now is, what needs to happen and what is the delay? What is the possible delay on this move? The VATLAD has also gone on to even speak to, or rather call on the AGF, and they say, we call on and demand on the AGF Malami to immediately and unconditionally carry out the explicit and justified orders of this Federal High Court. And the same way he speedily carried out orders given by the Federal High Court to delete section 8412, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act, which Mr. Malami has consistently and publicly demanded of the Nigerian Senate to do. So they go on to say, we hasten to remind him that the Nigerian Senate has on many occasions directed that the board be immediately inaugurated to serve the people of the Niger Delta region. And so they all go on to say the AGF must obey and immediately carry out the order of the Federal High Court in Yenagoa to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that he is not the single person who has been the obstruction to the inauguration of the substantive board of the NDDC since the year 2019. So this story is an interesting story, and it's been unfolding, because I said this, it's been in the news, but it's been unfolding right before us. And I'll let Okechukwu Edenkwo come in on this conversation now. The NDDC board story, why do you think it was lingered this long?
Well, thank God this time around PDP was not fingered in this crisis or in this imbroglio.
What's this?
They didn't finger PDP, they didn't say PDP is responsible for this. This shows that APC is a political contraption. It is a marriage of strange bedfellows who had only just one motive. Every other thing doesn't matter to them. If not, how can a government run a sensitive developmental agency like the Niger Delta Development Commission without a substantive board? They've been running with sole administrator year in, year out for the past how many years? And you tell us that all is well with that government, all is well with that party. It shows that they work against each other. And this is not the kind of party Nigeria needs. Two, so many court orders coming from here and there, and they have no respect for rule of law. It's just that most of the judgments are conflicting. But they should also sit down as a party, as a government, look at these judgments and see how they can move ahead. They are living on borrowed time. Why say they are living on borrowed time? They have just been in the commission, even to pay the old contractors, those who have done job, they have not been able to pay. The commission is just in coma. And if the commission is in coma, it's affecting the Niger Delta as a region, because there are no new developmental projects. Even the ones that are pending, they are yet to be completed. They are yet to move to the next stage. And we know that the terrain, the Niger Delta itself.
There was a point of conversations about party. So this failure or that this board has not been inaugurated? Is it a party flaw or an administrative flaw? Is it a flaw of the leading party, or just generally the flaw of the presidency?
It's a systemic failure. And when a system is bad, a system consists of so many subsystems. So it's a reflection of the failure of the subsystems that has rubbed off on the entire system. So I'm not surprised. Thank God, this is the third time I'm saying it. Thank God they have not blamed PDP for this. So it shows that all is not well with them. It is a political contraption and a marriage of strange bedfellows.
Okay, so but let's look into this. I'll go a little bit into the forensic audit bit. Do you think that the forensic audit that happened, or what came of it, is part of what is causing or affecting the progress or the evolution or just the staying alive of NDDC, as you said? Because you've said it's in a comatose state. The last time we heard a lot about things moving in the NDDC, well, it happened with the forensic. So don't you think it's the audit or something related to it?
They should tell us. They have done audit. They have presented the report. So the next thing is to tell us, because we don't know. Why I say we don't know? There's a limit to what we know. So them at the helm of affairs, they should tell us what they found out in the audit report, then see how they can inaugurate the board. This one, it's purely a systemic failure. And I can tell you authoritatively, I can tell you for free, that if they have anything, they would have said it. Because you don't give what you don't have.
Okay. Shola, I'm going to go over to Shola on this conversation. I'll still come back to it, but Shola, over to you for now.
Yeah, one can continue to look at this situation as another reason why Nigerians are saying this government and some political appointees over time have always been stepping over our laws, and they always choose on whose order they need to take or which part of the law they need to work with. Okay, Shukwu, is this not disturbing?
It's not just disturbing, it's alarming that a government...
What is going on?
I am not in the kitchen cabinet, neither am I in the corridor of power. They know themselves. They know how to reach Mr. President. It has become imperative for him to act as the president, because if you look at it, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has more power, even more than the president of the United States of America. It's time to act as a leader. It's time to act as the father of the party and father of the nation, to save the NDDC from imminent collapse and also the Niger Delta from a total failure.
If you look at it critically, under this government, NDDC some traces of fifth columnists in the approach.
It's a clear reflection and indication of what is happening in the party and the government. This has nothing to do with the region. It has nothing to do with the commission. Because if you look at it technically, the commission initially was under the presidency. They moved it to the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. And I think that move has killed the commission. It has rendered the commission comatose. It has made the commission a toothless bulldog. It has made the commission to fail according to the ideals and ideas of the founding fathers of the commission. So the aims and objective of establishing that commission, as I say, has failed, because it has left where it ought to be now to the Ministry of Niger Delta, where you have a lot of bureaucracy, you have a lot of bottlenecks. If it were to be under the presidency as it used to be, I believe this kind of thing will not happen to the commission. And the people who are crying, the people who are at loss, it's not the federal government, it's not even the APC, but the people of the Niger Delta. And I pray that this matter is sorted out so that we don't go back to the good old days where we have this form of restiveness in the Niger Delta.
It's clearly clearly that this body has been comatose. We hope it comes out of the coven. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Shola. I was going to just throw this in there. Is it? Let me just ask you, Okechukwu, for clarity's sake. Uh, do you think the NDDC would have done better if it stayed under the presidency?
Of course, it would have done very better. And it would have performed best under the presidency because it was designed to work under the presidency and not under the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. Everybody knows how things are done in the normal ministry in Nigeria, where you have a lot of bureaucracy, you have a lot of bottlenecks. Look at the East-West Road. Formerly, it was under the presidency when they were working, and the largest development they did was when it was under the presidency. Today, that is under the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. It has turned to a generational project where within how many years nothing has been done about that road, and it's a death trap, killing people week in, week out.
All right, so I'll go over to Lagos on this one now. Agaji, over to you.
Well, I don't know what is with the presidency, what is not with the presidency. You mentioned East-West Road. I can also mention the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which was not, which was a federal government thing, or has always been so many years. At least that's what a lot of people perceive it as being. But I want to go a little bit away from that. The agitation for the board to be constituted seemed to be falling on deaf ears. And if it is this important, don't you think there should be a different approach to asking for this to be implemented? And if there is a different approach, what do you think that approach should be?
Well, it's an entirely APC affair. I have nothing to do with it. But if you ask me, they should obey court order. There are so many court orders coming from different courts, though of coordinate jurisdiction, that the board should be inaugurated. They should respect court order. Like what I have always said, that this government has no regard for they have no respect for rule of law. So it's still part of the administrative and a systemic failure of the party and government. So I wonder why a board of a sensitive commission like the Niger Commission, they wouldn't have a substantive board. The minister is fighting with some perceived interest within the party. And it's not good. The people who are suffering, it's the region. Because they say when two elephants are fighting, it is the grass that suffers. And the Niger Delta is the grass. We are suffering because of some sort of interest, either primordial or I don't know. But there's a conflict of interest, and it's really affecting the commission. It's affecting the region.
Okay. That'll be my only question from here.
All right, thank you so much, Agaji. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, of course, the Atlantic Blowout continues. Don't go anywhere.
This one, this is part of the truth.
No, we need to put two more stories because we have to.
Okay, no problem.
So I'm trying to check for what to add from the news. I'm going to report this.
Welcome back. This is still Atlantic Blowout right here on Atlantic Television Network. And now a lot of people have been wondering what to do as Nigerians. There's been a lot of shifts. There's been a lot of value shift. The dollar is going the way it's going, and there's been a lot of conversations about why this is happening, and how Nigerians, it goes on to say Nigeria spends 39.66 billion on foreign education and medical tourism. Paid about 26.65 billion for the awards to study abroad within this period of review. And also, it is also further revealed that Nigerians paid up to $11 billion for healthcare services in foreign countries too. So the amount spent on these foreign services is almost equivalent to the current value of the country's foreign reserve, which stood at 39.5 billion as at March the 23rd. This by this high cost. So the report has gone on to say the high cost of these services has drastically increased the demand for foreign exchange in the country, which has put a strain on the value of the naira to the dollar. So this is one of the many leaks, as it is seen, that is causing our economy to dwindle the way it is. But looking at it too, these monies are there, and it is scary because looking at the numbers, that's a lot of money to go out. So it's beginning to seem like Nigerian parents have to go out of their way to work, struggle to ensure, or people who are sick find a way to go outside.
The government, so not just the APC government, not just this administration, but previous administration is clear reflection of what, or the emphasis they have really placed when it comes to healthcare. When you talk about healthcare in Nigeria, it's at its lowest. What I say is at its lowest. When you talk about how many tertiary health institutions do we have, even the secondary health facilities, how equipped are they? Another question again, who are the personnel? Because you discover that most Nigerian doctors, there is this massive brain drain of Nigerian doctors. Some are working in Oman, Saudi Arabia. You see them living in droves. If you go to most of these our tertiary health institutions, who are the consultants, most of them, they have their private hospitals. So you discover that there is this conflict of interest when it comes to healthcare delivery. Sometimes you might go to a tertiary health facility to seek. Most of our hospitals are not equipped. If you look at them, they are just mere consultation room. Even most of the facilities they have are quite obsolete, that even if you go for one kind of ailment or the other, they might not even get to the root cause of it. So it's hydra-headed. It's something that has different faces. So if you look at it technically, even the drugs, what kind of drugs do we have in Nigeria? Some of these drugs are substandard drugs. Some of them are even fake drugs. So if you look at the rate at which these things work, my brother or my sister, if you have money, instead of dying in Nigeria, the best thing for you to do is to seek medical advice. There's so many Nigerians going as far as Dubai, some going to India, some going to France, part of the world for medical health. Why? Because the system there works. In Nigeria, a lot of things don't work. Even if you go to most of these tertiary health institution, the running around alone before you move from one place to the other, where they don't even, you know, if you have money, who would want his or her brother or relation to die in Nigeria if you have what it takes to fly him abroad where everything works? So it's a systemic failure for the health sector. Then when you talk about the educational sector, apart from some few state universities that have not joined ASU, you discover that at this point, as I speak to you, ASU is on strike. Non-academic staff, they are threatening to also join the strike in some federal universities and some state universities. But a few universities that are not in ASU and a private university, that's where you have a smooth system here is working. You are very sure that you get that health care within the shortest time frame. There's no need going abroad. If our facilities are working, if we have the best of our lecturers, we have the best of our doctors here, no need putting pressure on the foreign exchange, because what you're going to get abroad, you also see them here. So there's no need. Nobody likes to spend money when he has a better option.
All right.
Apart from a working system, because if that were the case, they could have attended these universities in Nigeria that are working, whose lecturers do not go on strike, and who have the state-of-the-art equipment and everything that.
Of course, there are so many reasons. When I mean so many, some want better life for their children. Some also want where these children will be exposed to the best of facilities. Some also want a situation where by the time they finish their education, they could settle down there. In Nigeria, it's working very well. We have a lot of employment. things are running. Then when you talk about the health facilities too, most of the health facilities here, they will run on obsolete equipment, archaic methods of treatment. The best of our medical personnel, a lot of them are not here. They've gone abroad. The few ones that are here, they have a vested interest. They have made the tertiary health institution that most times when you go there, they will definitely.
Okay, because but that's by the way. Are you, do you also subscribe to what some people say?
That we are good at as Nigerians that should be encouraged to save us money, because people should look at other things and say, okay,
your problem in saner climes, irrespective of where you're coming from, irrespective of your party, there's a policies of government who have programs, so they follow it to a latter end. But in Nigeria, the greatest problem of Nigeria has been implementation. We have very wonderful policies. If you look at them on paper, very brilliant, they will work everywhere or anywhere in the world. But our greatest undoing, our greatest bane as a people has been that of continuity, where if you stay abroad, the exchange rate for the dollar then was 75 kobo to a dollar, so it wasn't even attractive.
the network. We've been having great conversations through and through, and I will also say a big thank you to our guests in the studio, Mr. Okechukwu Eden. Funny comments for and against. And if you're Nigerian, I know that one thing you get if you go for an event is it's either your wedding event or some event, the person who is the celebrant, one way or the other. It seems like that's what happens in comedy. But I'll ask my guest here, because of course he is a man, married, he knows of course what it takes to have the need to defend the wife in a situation. What would you do in this situation if it was you?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that Will Smith allowed his emotion to get a better part of him, but I think as a man, apart from the fact that you're also expected to love your wife, Chris Rock did was totally out of place, given the fact that she has health challenges. And the worst thing that you can do to a man or a woman is to use his or her condition to describe her, especially when it's a negative side of either health or finance. Word in English language, and he was properly biancad. But anyway, that's on a lighter note. But the good thing about Will Smith also was that he apologized, that he allowed his emotion, and he promises to be the man that he would love to be. Let's marry this thing from a different perspective. Will Smith overreacted. Yes, he overreacted, but he also did what he's supposed to do as a man. Mock somebody with his or her condition, especially when it has to do with health. Health is very, very important. It was a total mockery on the part of Chris Rock, but Will Smith also overreacted. When you look at it, they were both wrong, and two wrongs cannot make a right. Will Smith has admitted that he didn't do very well. So it behoves on the men that are supposed to be, and the world will become a better place when people live in peace and harmony. We disagree to agree at the end of every encounter.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for the clear input. I would have loved to have a comedian on this. possibly consider it on the Atlantic Blowout. But thank you so much, Shola. Thank you for joining us on.
Thank you, Okechukwu, on this program this morning.
Thank you very much.
On that story, the people in our show business they've started talking, like that of this lady called Ruth Kadiri. He said men who can't defend women like Will Smith should not marry. That is coming from Ruth Kadiri. It will continue to generate controversy there and there. But whichever way, everybody must understand he needs to show respect and take responsibility for their actions or their inactions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Agaji, so I'm going to come on to you this time now. It kind of looks like this is what
slapping season. If you wake up and you go back to bed and you're not being slapped, you thank your God. But you know, as it is, this case of Will Smith seems to be something like karma, because the internet, like they say, is a bitch. Sorry for the word, but they have dug up a video where Will Smith was also, in fact, he actually laughed very, very hysterically at someone who had the same condition that his wife has now. And he said, so because of that, you have to wax yourself every morning. And then he laughed. Now that video is also trending, that he did that and got away with it and then had to punch Chris